Hey guys, today we're going to talk about creating a title using Adobe Premiere CC, which stands for Creative Cloud. You have a couple different options when it comes to creating a title, but pretty much you're going to start at the top. You see it says Title. You're going to go down to New Title, and you're going to choose one of these three options. We're going to discuss them later, but for right now we're going to create a default still. You've got a couple other options here for settings. We're going to ignore those. We're just going to label the title. Labeling the title is just going to allow us to be able to organize ourselves. You can call it whatever you want. So now that I've got the title open, I'm just going to click anywhere in here. You see the cursor is blinking, and I'm just going to start typing what I'd like the title to say. So I'm doing a documentary on my dog Banjo, so I'm going to type Banjo, a documentary. And it's as simple as that. I'm going to go close it, and if I look over here in my bin on the left, I've got the opening title there, and I'm just going to drag it into my timeline. And now it says Banjo, a documentary. Now we're going to create a different title. We're going to do a default role. What that's going to do, it's going to take the title from the bottom to the top, or top to bottom, like end credits that you would see at the end of a movie. So I'm going to title this end credits, because these are going to be my end credits at the end of my documentary. I'm going to select the text tool so I can start typing. It's like Photoshop or Microsoft Word. I'm going to start typing. I'm going to hit enter. You see some lines that are formed there, and that just shows you how big or how many lines it's going to take for your credits. So it's going to star Banjo as a dog. It's going to be directed by me. I'm going to put my camera operator, and the camera was operated by my creepy neighbor. Of course, I had some sound recorded, and that was recorded by someone else. And then it was edited by blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. So this is where you put all the credits to tell who was involved in the making of the movie. So I'm going to exit out of that. And if I look over here, I see where it says end credits. I'm just going to drag it here to the end. Now we're going to play it, and I want you to watch what happens when we play it. So it looked a little weird, didn't look exactly like end credits. You see that at the beginning. Well, first let me drag it a little bit longer here to make the credits a little longer. That tool, the longer the clip is, the longer it takes for the credits to roll, the longer the time is on screen for the credits. But you see how at the beginning the credits start already on screen and then they end still on screen. So if we open the title back up, you've got an option up here, and these are your roll crawl options. So you can, if you decided later that, you know what, you didn't want that to be rolling credits, you wanted it to be still, or you want it to crawl, you can change that. But what I want is I want it to start off screen and end off screen. So I clicked those little boxes. So now when I play it, the credits are not going to be there at first. They're going to gently roll in. And when we get to the end, you're going to see that they gently roll all the way off. Now these credits are a little slow. If I went back and adjusted the length of the clip, it could go a little faster or longer, just depends on my preference. So now we're going to talk about crawling titles. A crawl is going to be something, it's like roll, except it's going to go from left to right or right to left. Usually you see them with disclaimers or warnings if you're watching a commercial. I'm going to make this a disclaimer. That's what I want to call this. And I'm just going to type something about my documentary on my dog. And you can see the text is kind of going off screen. That's fine. Because remember, it's going to crawl. So it's going to appear on one side of the screen, go all the way through, and then exit on the other side of the screen. Not sure if I spelled squeal correctly. So I've got the disclaimer here. I'm going to adjust the length by dragging it out, making it a longer clip, just however I like. Now you can see there that the credits or the disclaimer also it needs to start off screen and end off screen. So I'm going to open my little options menu. You can see I also have the option to decide which direction I want it to go. Do I want it to crawl right or crawl left? And then I select start off screen, end off screen. So now I'm going to play it, and let's watch how it goes. So this is crawling right, and that's okay. Usually we read from left to right, so it might look better. It might make more sense to read those two sentences from left to right as opposed to right to left. So let's go back and adjust those settings. I've just double clicked. I'm clicking up here, and then I'm going to hit crawl left, then I hit OK. So now when I watch it, it should go from left to right, which just makes it much easier to read because I have two sentences in there. If it was just one word, you can make it go left to right, right to left, however you like, but if you have a few words together, it might make better sense to have them go left to right. But you know what? It's your film. You're in charge. Now that you know the basics of creating titles, let's talk about how we can change the titles up, change the font, change the size, change the position to make these really unique. If you double click on the title, it opens it back up. If you're familiar with Photoshop, you'll recognize some of these tools. Photoshop's made by the same company that made this software. You have this tool belt. You can play around with it, see the different things that it does. You've also got some positions and alignments you can play around with. If you want your title perfectly centered, these are your two favorite buttons right here. The first one aligns it vertically, the other one horizontally. We can click this arrow button and we can move the title around manually. We can adjust the size manually. We can change the font if we go into the text tool and we highlight the font. We can go over here. There's a bunch of different fonts we can try. You can scroll through them. Pick whatever one you think works best for your project. I'm going to go with this one right there. Now I changed the font. It's a little off alignment. We'll fix that in a second. I can also change the color. So I'm going to go, let's see, I can change it to red. You know what, I'm going to go with blue because my dog has one blue eye and I think it's pretty, so this will be a little reference to his eye. You can add some different effects to it, shadows, which doesn't really work on a black background. You can add a background to it. I have a solid black. You can choose white. You can choose whatever color you want. I liked it on the black background. I think that really made the title pop, and it's more traditional. You also have some preloaded fonts and styles down here. You can certainly use them. There's nothing against them. So I like the color, and I like the little shadow, but I'm going to go back to the font I chose. And then we got to center it again, because it went a little off center. There we go. Another cool thing you can do is you can insert photos into the title. So if you click the cursor wherever you want and go to graphic, and then insert graphic into text. I'm going to go to where I saved my picture at, which I saved it on the desktop. And it's the JPEGs right there. And I've got 2 pictures. I'm going to go with this pause. These paws are cute. So it inserted that picture right where I had the cursor. If I had that cursor anywhere else, that blinking cursor, that's where it would insert the picture. I'm going to recenter it. And it's a nice little opening title. Now we're going to talk about adding a title over a picture. If you do an interview or when you do the news, it is very common, and this is very important for you to know this, when you add titles saying who that person is that you're interviewing or who that person is that is talking on the news, your title needs to be in the lower thirds of your video project, the lower thirds of your screen. So if you go and watch an interview, watch the news, pay attention when they put that person's name on the screen. It is at the bottom in the lower thirds. So here I am creating a title. I'm going to make one for my dog Banjo because I interviewed him. Just going to do some adjustments here. And I'm keeping it on the lower thirds of the screen so that way when I'm interviewing him, and I know he's just a dog, but let's pretend that he talks back. When he talks and moves around, the title won't be on the middle of his face. It'll keep it from being on his face. And if you saw there, to put the title over the picture, you saw that I drag and dropped it over on top of the clip that's in the timeline. It's like a layer. Think of it like Photoshop layers. It's a layer on top of the video clip. You can also put a title on top of a picture. So let's say I want the Banjo documentary title to be over a picture. So I'm going to get rid of the little logo that I did. I'm going to put the picture underneath the title. The title's on top. Now you see there, you can't see the picture, but if you remember, if we go back into our title, I turned on the background. So if I unclick it, there we go. I can now see it. Now if we go back in there, I don't like that position, so I'm going to go to my selection tool. I'm going to move it just so it looks a little bit nicer. And there we go. So I've got titles. Play around with the titles. There's a lot of different options you can do. Have fun with it. Be creative. Now that you know how to make titles, you need to make sure that you create and add those titles to this project that you are working on. Add some credits. Make sure your name's in there so I know who you are. A film by so-and-so. But please make sure you show me the titles. Show me these different techniques. If you have any questions, ask me. If you have any problems trying to figure out how to use the software, ask me, ask your neighbor, or watch this tutorial again. Thanks, guys.
Huh? Patrick, check it out!
Whoa! Hooray! Bubble party!